The SOP of your project stands for the statement of the problem, and it's the first thing that your audience is going to read. The statement of the problem is where you explain what the real-world connection is, like why should this project matter? Why are you even bothering doing this research? Who's going to care about your data? You need to think about the product that you're testing and how those results could inform or influence the average consumer. Like, how will it help them make purchasing decisions? What products should they avoid? What products should they look for? And why might somebody want to know your results? The structure of a good SOP is actually pretty simple. You need to briefly explain what your real-world problem is, or what the issue that your product solves is, and some of the consequences of not following that issue or not seeing what that product could do to help. You'll see an example in a second. Number two, if you didn't already do this in number one, you need to explain who is going to be able to benefit or who this is going to be targeting. So if you're going to be writing an SOP about motor oil, probably mechanics are going to be the ones who might care. Next, you need to make a connection to your project as a possible solution or source of understanding. This is sometimes the hardest part. How are you going to connect that real-world issue to what you're actually about to test? And then fourth, you need to wrap it up with a question. What is the effect of blank on blank? These are probably a little bit challenging to understand until you see an example. So let's take a look at an example. Here's a good statement of the problem. Many people that enjoy cooking pasta face issues with water that boils over onto their burner while boiling. It is frustrating, messy, and dangerous each time that happens. The boiled over water can cause harm to the stove and the person preparing the meal. Since there are so many different kinds of pasta available these days, it is possible that some may be likely to cause boilovers less than others. And knowing which pastas are the biggest offenders could save some stress in the kitchen. What is the effect of different types of pasta on the amount of water that boils over when cooking? This is a fantastic statement of the problem because it has all four parts. Let's break it down and look at where each one is. So for the first part that you need to have in your SOP, where you briefly explain the real-world problem, that's all of the red text on your screen. Basically, they're saying if you ever cook, boiling over water is something that can be dangerous and it can be frustrating and messy. Number two, they actually did explain who is going to be the person that cares, the person that they're targeting, and this is most people that enjoy cooking pasta. So 1 and 2 were taken care of in their first couple of sentences by talking about who cares. Number 3 is the hard part, where you have to connect this idea of frustrating pasta water to what they're actually going to test in their experiment. That's the green part. So since there are a lot of different pastas available, they're making the proposition that maybe we could figure out which type of pasta would reduce the problem that they talked about at the beginning. Then at the very end, they wrapped it up with the question, and they say, what is the effect of blank on blank? What is the effect of different types of pasta on the amount of water that boils over? These are the two things that they're testing. These are their variables in the experiment. Their independent variable was their type of pasta, and their dependent variable, they're going to measure how much water gets boiled over. Be on the lookout for these traps as you are writing your SOP. These are things that sometimes I see people do wrong. If you ask too many questions, you can do things like, are you tired of pasta boiling over? Are you concerned about what kinds of pasta should be in your pasta water? Do you care about your stove? If you start asking too many questions, or really any questions in your SOP, you start to sound like an infomercial. So don't do that. It makes you sound like you don't know what you're talking about, and it sounds like a commercial. Also, the second one on my screen, make sure that your argument matches your topic. I've sometimes seen people write a great argument for why we should care about dryer sheets, and then their project is actually about laundry soap. So those two things are related, but your argument didn't match what you're testing, so make sure that they match. Now it's your turn to go and start writing your SOP and take a look at the other student examples of SOPs. Good luck.